Okay, hello and welcome everyone to Engineers Ireland's event about starting your career in civil engineering. My name is Michael Gallagher and I will just be doing a short introduction before the event begins today. We have some super speakers coming up, so I don't want to get in the way of what they're about to say. But just say if you're joining us as a graduate today, that there's an hour CPD going for these kind of interesting and engaging lectures that are all about people who have kind of navigated their own early civil engineering career and the lessons that they learned. So don't forget to log in to your members dashboard and to of course log your CPD. You can do that again on your membership dashboard on your website. Just say for students, there's free membership going. We would love to see you get your free membership, and you can do so through the website again. So yeah, I just want membership. You can also become a graduate for free on the year that you graduate. You just click on the button in your membership dashboard. And to say that there's a €700 discount for those who are graduating this year for the first 4 years of their career. So it's definitely worth checking out, something really worth taking advantage of. I guess I'm going to go straight into the first speaker, and while our first speaker is getting her presentations ready, I might do a bit of an introduction. So our first speaker today would be Veronica. Veronica is an engineer in Smart City Unit in Dublin City Council, and she is a civil and transport engineer working in the Smart Dublin team, the innovation unit inside DCC. She joined in 2019 when she was finishing her Masters in Engineering Transportation at TCD, and in over 2 years in the Smart City unit, she's gained experience in multiple projects from a wide range of themes: connectivity, community, mobility, environmental, government, and economy. Her current projects include exploring the use and future of drones for local government, mobility as a service for Ireland, and 3D city models and digital program to DCC, and has contributed into the DCC re-accreditation report to the Engineers Ireland last year. So, Veronica, I'll hand it over to you, and I'm really excited for your lecture.
Hi, thanks, Michal, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here, and I hope you're going to find the talk useful and helpful. So here's just like some of my contact details. If any of you wants to do one-on-one afterwards, I'm happy to follow up with you guys. So just a very quick background in what I do at the moment. I am from São Paulo, from Brazil. I moved to Ireland like 4 years and a half ago. And the city, it's much bigger than Ireland. São Paulo, the metropolitan area, has 21 million inhabitants. The city itself has 12 million. So the city would be like twice as big as the whole island of Ireland. Like Michael just mentioned, I did a bachelor's degree in civil engineering back home in Brazil, but then I moved to Ireland and I did a master's in engineering transportation. While I was doing my bachelor's, I also did some extracurricular activities. One of them was a scientific initiation research on active learning methodologies for engineering courses. So it was basically like looking how we can improve the methodology of education, how we teach engineering for the students, and mainly what the college I was studying, they want to do is more like practical, not just the theory. So they were looking at how they could change the methodology. I also joined the concrete team of my college. So I was developing different types of concrete for competitions. I got like to be a big champion in 2 categories in there. So it was very exciting. And then I had 1 year experience also in a consulting company. That company, we look at applying natural stones, so like marble, for example, into those constructions. So in the buildings, especially if you go to hotels or commercial buildings, you're gonna see those very nice marble floors or on the facade. So that's more or less what I was doing, just doing the advice to the companies, which are the appropriate stones, how to apply, and giving the quality certification as well. So at the moment, after I moved to Ireland, and what I'm doing is working what they call it Smart City units in Dublin City Council. So Dublin City Council is going to be the local government of Dublin. And then some of the projects that I'm working at the moment is the mobility as a service, or MaaS, looking at drones, how we can use drones to deliver better service for local governments, and then also what's the impact of drones in our city, and then also looking at 3D city models and digital twin. So it's very wide range of projects, but as you can see, it's pretty much like innovation and a lot of technology involvement as well. On the admin side, I got elected as the vice chair of Dublin City Council CPD subcommittee for graduates and assistant engineers. So CPD would be the continual professional development. So that would be always like how we can better upskill ourselves as engineers and keep like progressing in our careers. And then the subcommittee is to give a voice to everyone that is a graduate or assistant engineer in the council. And then that would mean like everyone with less than 5 years experience. So the needs of this group of people, it's a little bit different from the rest of the committee that would have like all the senior executive engineers and so on. I'm also a member of Engineers Ireland's Council, so I just got elected a few months ago, and I joined the first meeting just a couple of weeks ago, and that's again like just to give a voice inside this council and this entity, just to see how we can improve the engineering across Ireland. Then I'm also a guest lecturer and speaker in a lot of events, for example, this one, but mainly the talks that I gave is about smart city projects, mobility and international career. And then trying to also help one of my friends. He has a webpage about cycling in Ireland, and that's focused on the huge Brazilian communities in Ireland and how we can better promote cycling, and also building this bridge that a lot of those Brazilians come here as English students, but then they want to cycle and maybe they don't have that good English, or they're trying to adapt to this new country. So how we can do that. So just very, very briefly, my timeline. Whole career started in 2011, and that was when I decided to do a building technician while I was doing my high school. And that was trying to decide what kind of career I wanted to take, because it was between physics, civil engineering, psychology, and architecture. So after I did the course, I was 100% sure I wanted to be a civil engineer. So I started college in 2012. In 2013, like I mentioned, I joined the concrete MOA team, and that was on until 2014. But then in 2014, I also decided to do that scientific initiation that was running from 2014 to 2015. At the end of that program, I had published 5 different articles, and that goes from the students' academic conferences, but also like the wider global ones. I had 1 article published in Barcelona, so pretty exciting. And in 2016, I was doing the internship in Litotech, that is that consulting company I mentioned, and I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and my thesis was awarded in the Eureka. Eureka is a scientific fair that my college used to do for all the students finishing their thesis, so it's an opportunity to present their work, and then I got one of the awards there. So just to make a little bit more real, that's how it looked like. So while I was doing the bachelor's, I had on the top left corner, that was my classmates, and then on the bottom there is just presenting on that job for that scientific fair from the thesis. In the middle one, I have a site visit that was looking at the metro construction in São Paulo. That was very exciting. And then on the right, just me presenting one of those scientific conferences. This other one, it's the concrete team. So on the top, and on the right bottom is just some of the awards that we got and how cool it was to be part of a team and doing some of the laboratory tests, and then after going through the competitions. And on the left corner on the bottom is just me presenting my thesis and getting the awards with my colleague Philip. And in 2017, I moved to Ireland and started having this international experience. So that's when we go to the right part here. So I moved first to do an English course. So it was an English exchange program. And the main goal was to improve my English, and improving that, I could just do a master's degree abroad. That was the end goal. And in 2018, I enrolled to the Master's in Engineering Transportation at Trinity College in Ireland. I finished my master's in 2019 and also just got the job as a civil engineer in Dublin City Council. I was a graduate engineer at the time, and at the end of the year, I got elected as vice chair for the CPT committee. In 2020, I know a lot of people struggle a lot. I believe some of you, as well as a student, moving to online, it was a huge change. But for me, it was actually a very good year. I got those invites to be talking because people had more time to be watching online videos and connecting online. So I got to talk in a lot of different places, and I kept working as a civil engineer in WC Council. And this year I got promoted in the council for assistant engineer. And also just a couple of weeks ago, I got to present in person in a conference about mobility as a service in Ireland, one of the projects that I'm working. And then I start teaching also for my college in Brazil about smart cities. Then here's just quick overview also of my international experience. So very exciting getting my diploma and then going to international conference on the fellow city, giving some of those talks. I got to meet the Queen and King of Netherlands as part of my work. So it's very exciting. And then just to finish up, I would like to talk a little bit about Smart City and Smart Dublin. So Smart Dublin is an initiative of the 4 Dublin local authorities in Dublin. And then we also have what we call smart districts. So we try to identify some neighborhoods in Dublin where we can engage with the community to understand what are the key challenges and their characteristics, and then implement some of those changes. And that makes much more quicker and much more focus to improve sections of the city. And then if that goes well, we can scale up to the entire city or the country and even like worldwide. So that's a very nice infographic about what is a smart city. It's basically having more real-time information. It's a city that is much more connected and the decisions are data-driven. If you'd like to see a little bit more about our profile and the wide range of projects, we had like more than 200 projects in the past 2 years. So if you want to read a little bit about all the projects, you can just go to smartdublin.ie website. And some of the examples would be the real-time passenger information on the bus stops. We also have provision of public free Wi-Fi, smart energy in buildings, the bike sharing schemes, and so on and so on. So just some examples. And then just to conclude, because I know my career maybe is a little bit different of what you would imagine about engineering. So the traditional roles of engineering, very technical, doing the designs, and then me doing like a little bit of project engineer in a smart city and driving innovation. I would like to say at the end of the day, we are all engineers. And the good thing about being an engineer is that we can adapt and we gain a lot of skills, and it doesn't matter like what kind of engineering you're gonna follow, you can always upskill and adapt and specialize a little bit further. So even if you don't know like exactly, I did civil engineering and it's a very wide scope that you can do after you finish your college. You can build houses, but then you can go to like roads or structures. You can end up like me going to a smart city. So I know it's very challenging, but at the end of the day, you have the foundation and it's quite easy to change because the skills, the very basic ones you already have. So it's always about sharing the knowledge and upskilling. You already have the critical thinking. I think very important skills that we learned during the pandemic is the adaptability. So always being looking for and open to adapt and to get the new things that are coming up, and to understand and solve problems, doing the management of cost, resources, and time, and then identifying the opportunities and challenges. That is like basically working towards a vision, and then the teamwork and to be able to work in multidisciplinary teams. It's very important skills as well, and that doesn't matter in which kind of engineering you go. And at the bottom one, that sometimes engineers, they don't really focus that much, but I would say in my current role, that's super important. And when you go up to the hierarchy is the communications. So the ability to produce reports, to do the presentations, and to hear people and be heard, it's very important. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the next presentation.
Thank you so much, Veronica. That was an excellent presentation. And yeah, during the questions and answers, I can already think of some fun and exciting questions that I might ask you, and I hope that our participants are thinking of the same. I thought that was a brilliant presentation, and I'm delighted now to kind of go straight into another fantastic presentation. I believe I'm going to be controlling the share screen for now, and Ernest is going to be presenting. Ernest is a design engineer with ROD, and he works in their transportation team. He joined ROD's graduate program in 2016, and after completing a postgraduate diploma in sustainable energy at Trinity College Dublin and a master's in structural engineering with management at Nottingham Trent University. In his 5 years at ROD, Ernest has gained experience on a wide variety of transportation projects, research projects, site investigations, and site supervision. His recent projects, which he's going to speak about us today, include the likes of Clontarf to City Centre Cycle Scheme, the Maynooth to Eastern Ring Road Scheme, and the BusConnects Core Bus Corridor Scheme. So Ernst, I'm going to hand it straight over to you.
Thanks, Mio. Sorry, I was just trying to see if I could request remote control to see if that'll work. Okay, I'm guessing that's not really giving much access on my end, but yeah, I'll just let you take control then if that's the case. So yeah, my name's Ernest Etzem. That's already been established at this point, I suppose. And I'm a design engineer at Rowan O'Donovan. And yeah, Mail, if you just move on to the next slide there. My educational background has already been mentioned. I got my bachelor's degree at the University of Nottingham, my master's at Nottingham Trent University, and I also did a postgraduate diploma in sustainable energy at Trinity College. So before ROD, it was largely summer internships because I was still in college, but I did a lot of those summer internships in Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom State, largely in Uyo. And some of the pictures you could see there are just some of the general projects that I worked on. The masquerades, I didn't work on those. The two bottom pictures from the left is the Akwa Ibom International Stadium, and I was involved with a lot of the setting out and a lot of the lab testing at the same time. So doing a lot of concrete testing for concrete strength tests, slump tests, and bitumen tests. And then I'd go out on site for weekly contractor and employee representative meetings. And the second picture there was just the initial terminal building that was set up for the Akwa Ibom International Airport. I think that's been extended now since then, but the runway I think still holds the record for longest runway in Nigeria, if not West Africa. So yeah, the masquerades there were just, that's the only picture I had to show what the opening ceremony was like, but apparently they also have the most masquerades in Nigeria. So that was something fun to see. Apparently, they all have different, they all embody different ideologies, and they do bring this out for every celebration or every occasion that they can. So that was something fun I got to experience in Nigeria at the time. And it's something I'm very grateful for. So moving on to the next slide, my career at ROD. Well, this started in September 2016. Oh, it's on there on the screen anyway. And I was fortunate enough to join the 2-year graduate rotation program that lasted until 2018. And within that time, I managed to go through quite a few of the different groups. We call them groups in the company. You could call them teams if you want, or departments. But there's different ones ranging from bridges, buildings, transportation to water research. And I was fortunate enough to either participate in some of the projects that all the groups were working on, if not work directly in those groups. Yeah, so moving on slightly. There's a lot of multidisciplinary cooperation. That's something that is encouraged, largely because you will be working on projects, or in my case, I was working on projects that were multidisciplinary. So you would have to interact with bridges at some point if you are on a transport project, or an environmental project, or geotechnical project, and things like that. There's a lot of one-to-one support, and within that you also get a better understanding for the different groups and how they operate, the different perspectives that come into play when tackling challenges that are related to the project. You also appreciate their requirements, and they also get to do the same. So it's a vice versa, essentially. It works both ways. There's a lot of technical and professional skills that are applied within this period. So it's a learning process, but at the same time, you're still given as much opportunity to learn, even on the job. Moving on from this screen then. So ROD in general, I figured I'd give an overview of the company. They are an Engineers Ireland CPD accredited employer. We have offices in Sandyford, Northwood, and Leeds. I'm currently based in the Northwood office. At this point, I think we have well over 200 people working in the company. Yeah, we're in the 6 key markets of civil engineering, essentially. So bridges, buildings, environmental, transport, research, and water. Hence why we broke the groups up into to match that, essentially. So moving on from this one. So some of the recent projects here, I figured I'd just highlight a few of the projects that to date are noteworthy from the company, and then I will speak on the projects that I've generally applied myself on as well. So the first one here was the winner of the Project of the Year from the ACEI Engineering Excellence Award. It was the Motorway Operation Control Center, and I think there's a video in here that basically describes this.
I don't know if the video will work. Might you just give me 2 seconds to get this working? Sorry.
No problem.
Apologies, I don't think that video is embedded correctly. I can't figure this out. 1 second. Apologies, Ernst. What I'll do is I'll edit the video and afterwards. I just think that
Sure thing.
But I'll share my screen again. Apologies.
No problem there. Well, essentially, the video was just going to give a breakdown of what was happening, what the project was about, the challenges it had, what it managed to accomplish at the end of the day, and its long-term ambition, essentially. Some of the other projects, I can still go on with these. They're all still award winners, so you won't be missing out on sorry there, my screen's just frozen for a sec. You won't be missing out on variation in different projects anyway. So the next one here is the Northern Spire Bridge in Sunderland. That was also a winner for the Geoscience Ireland Award and the ACEI Design in Excellence Award in 2019. Moving on to the next one. The A6, the Randallstown to Castle Dawson dual carriageway. This one I was actually involved in. I had to do a bit of the road restraint system design, which is essentially the safety barriers on the scheme that you could see there, and some of the pre-earthwork drainage that had to go into this during construction. It was quite challenging. This would have been my very first project in the office, so that was something very, very interesting to get my hands into, and fortunately enough, it won Project of the Year for infrastructure at the UK National Go Awards. So moving on to the next one. I would have also been involved in this to a certain degree. I think I did a bit of the quantification for this project. So a lot of the VOQ or bill of quantities work that went into this, I would have contributed on that. So this is the Royal Canal Premium Cycle Route Phase 2. I think we're currently at Phase 4 in the office by way of design. So it shows that they were confident, there was some satisfaction with our work to begin with, and it's nice to know that we get to keep winning work in relation to these cycle routes. So moving on to the next there, I think we have the Dublin Port. I was also involved in part of this, again, with the bill of quantities and the design of one of the cycle underpasses within the Dublin Port and one of the junctions within Dublin Port. So this as well as just won an award for best public space category in 2018. So I'm very happy to see that the majority of the projects I'm working on are being nominated or at least being awarded something for the ambition these projects carry or hold. So moving on to the next slide, I'll basically just cover my project experience at the moment. So this would be more of the projects I'm currently dealing with, as at least since the pandemic. So this, I'd selected 3, even though there's far too many I could go into, but if you do need any other examples at some point during the questions bit, just let me know, and I can explain a few more or show you a few more if need be. So in this one, Michael, if you move on to the next screen there, I'll start with Clontarf to the city centre cycle scheme. So this one is a 2.7, yeah, it's written there, 2.7 existing urban carriageway that needed realignment and upgrading. And as well, it needed a lot of upgrading to do with the bus stops, the bus facilities in general, and dedicated segregated one-way cycle routes on either side of the road. I've mentioned there's a lot of there was a lot of reconfiguration of existing roadways and junctions, and diversion of utilities, which I would have largely been involved in. So moving on to the next slide, I'll just show some examples of what we were doing essentially. So my responsibilities generally within this project were to do with a lot of the detailed design elements of the job. So I would have been working on anything from utilities, diverting electricity, gas, water mains, telecoms of any sort, the traffic signals, the bus stops themselves, and road markings. And I also got to work on the preparation of and review of the tender documents at the for construction and at the construction stage, which I think should have started at some point. And then I was also preparing and reviewing the tender assessment reports from the contractors that came in. Some of the challenges from this one were, again, it was my first utilities diversion project. So I had to familiarize myself with a lot of these standards that came with that. And it was the first time I was actually working on a big project within the office. So that's where teamwork came in, and I had to interact a lot with technicians because there were a lot of drawings that were required to express or illustrate what we were doing on the project. And it was also the first time I had to implement SUDs that is sustainable urban drainage systems on an existing corridor. And it was handy to get that experience because I'd only done work or proposed SUDs on new developments essentially. So I had more room to play with things. Here, there was a lot of tight space to work with, which was handy. So moving on to the next slide, I think the next one's the Maynooth Eastern Ring Road. Yep. And that's a approximately 2 kilometers of link road that's been proposed for to ease congestion at the access and egress from Maynooth at the 2 junctions approaching Dublin. And we are reconfiguring the existing junctions there, as well as proposing this new link road, as well as giving some access to future developments. There's a lot of, again, diversions of utilities at these existing junctions, and we're proposing a bridge to go over the railway and the canal, as you can see in the render in the image. So moving on to the next slide, my responsibilities here again, I'm responsible for a lot of the utility design, a lot of the detailed design for various elements again. So pretty much anything to do with detailed design, I'm your man. The key challenges here, I had to interact a lot with more technicians of senior and let me say with more experience and less experience at the same time. So it was fun to try and find that sweet spot where you could get people to understand exactly what you wanted them to do or what the concept was that needed to be materialized. I also had to liaise a lot with subcontractors, and that would have been one of the first time I'd have to have done that. So that was something very interesting that I got to do. I'd say they were challenging, but challenging in a very positive way. I was also able to familiarize myself with more standards. I didn't mention that for the Clontarf one. I put their TII standards, traffic signs and road marking manuals, DMERs and the likes, but these are 2 different projects. One's a regional road and one's an urban road. So Clontarf would have been an urban road, and they follow a different set of standards. And it was fun to kind of appreciate and acknowledge the differences between them and then merge them and see what works where and what can be used to improve another, essentially. So if we move on to the last one there, that's BusConnects. Veronica had mentioned I was working on one of the projects that DCC were also involved in, and some of your land here, I think you might be able to spot Rings End as an example of DCC land there. Essentially, the project, the aim of the project is to give 230, I think that's slightly more now because some places have been extended, but 230 approximately dedicated bus lanes and 200 kilometers of cycle track along 16 bus corridors within 12 radial cores. And Rowan and O'Donovan would be in charge of 4 of them, namely number 3 there in the image, number 12 and number 8. Number 3 is split into 2, which is Ballymun and Finglas. Rings End is number 12 and Kimmage is number 8. And I would be responsible for quite a lot of the utility diversions on these projects. So if we move on to the next slide, I'll just show some of the challenges there that I'd had to face. For example, here in the images, there's a bridge shown there, the Schertzer Bridge. That's the existing version. I couldn't fit that on here at the time because I didn't have an image, but I think this still serves to show. At the moment, the Schertzer Bridge there, they are basically in the middle of the road. So normally you'd be passing through the openings underneath each of those towers there. Our proposal is to move those out or to widen the area. So we're moving those bridges out, and that's just a render to show exactly what's happening in order to give some conceptual idea of what exactly we're moving or where we're moving these bridges to. So in general, anyway, my role on the project is I'm utilities lead. So I'm responsible for liaising with the utility providers, engaging with the client and other engineering disciplines. That's what EDs stand for there. At utility meetings, at any given point, essentially. I'm also doing a lot of the traffic assessment and modeling, utility surveys that need to be reviewed, preliminary and specimen designs that need to be carried out for planning. I'm heavily involved in a lot of that. Some of the key challenges on this one were coordination responsibilities, largely because I've now been made utilities lead. This is, call it more responsibility, and it's something I've happily taken on board, and it does come with its challenges. For example, supervising greater teams now, dealing with a lot more external influences, and they're all very positive, thankfully, but I'd say they're still, I wouldn't call them uphill battles per se, but they're still learning moments I can take from them. Some of the key learning outcomes I got from this, I got to appreciate contract management a lot more. I got better understanding of the importance for these contract documents, conditions of engagement. I'm able to merge and understand design and construction processes a lot better from this. And there's just a value of cooperative relationships that can't be beat, especially when you're dealing with other engineering disciplines. So yeah, this project has been largely influential for me, and that's why I put it in here. So moving on to the next slide, this is essentially just professional tips that I could give. I've split this into professional tips and personal tips that I think are handy. So the first one would be look for a structured graduate program, something similar to what I've already mentioned, where you can gain appreciation for the different ways the different groups, departments, and teams work and what they tackle, and see how you can merge them. It gives you a wider range of experience and exposure, essentially, if you could go through that process. Look to intern. I'm fortunate enough that I was able to spend some of my internship in Nigeria to appreciate these different, call it mega projects if you want. And I think I still believe already are taking on summer internships up until November, if I'm correct. I'll double check that, and I can pass that on to anyone who would need that. It's never too soon to start building your network. So your professors, they're usually your first point of contact within college. So for anyone who is in college, they're your first link to the industry, and it's very handy to engage them as early as possible. And then the next slide would be my personal tips, essentially. These are just basically what I've come to observe would be handy. I'll start from the bottom there, talk. And when I say talk, I mean ask questions. No one can read your mind, so always ask questions. There's no such thing as a silly question, so ask away. Fortunately, I haven't met any senior engineers who would turn down or shut down a question, so that's always encouraged. Curiosity is a necessary quality for any engineer, and that's a mantra I live by, essentially. I wouldn't do without it. Get involved in any way you can. Join social committees, meet people in the company or at college, join societies in the college as well that are related to this field, or any field in engineering that you're looking to join. Keep an open mind. You never know what area you might end up in, so it's handy when you do go into any of these departments, groups, parts, that you do have an open mind. You never know, you could end up, based on the perspectives that you pick up, to join the contractor, the consultant, or a public body like Veronica's done there. And the last bit there, Mehul, if you go on to the next slide, Join Engineers Ireland. I think Mehul's already pointed that out at the start of the presentation, but it's free. I think that's good value for your money to begin with. Use their members only resources. They're very useful. I happen to be using a lot of them now because I'm progressing towards chartership. So a lot of their information and a lot of the presentations that they log on there, that's become very helpful for me. Participate in committees, like I've already said, and attend events as much as possible. You'll get to meet new people, and that's always handy to build your network. And essentially, that's me. As the Aquabamites or Efik would say, Sasong, and thank you.
Thank you, Ernest. That was a really fantastic presentation. What I'm going to do now
go.